get some analysis now from Jok Madut Jok, who is a professor at Syracuse University specializing in security, governance, democracy, and development in South Sudan and Sudan. Thank you so much, Professor, for being with us on the program today. I want to start off by getting analysis on the military front of things. The armed forces have made significant gains, most recently Khartoum. How sustainable are these gains at this point in the conflict?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me. These gains have waxed and waned. The war is very difficult to win militarily. And so Sudan armed forces might capture this town and tomorrow they will lose it. So the gains are significant because it means the Sudan armed forces have retaken major towns back from the rapid support forces. But because of the uncertainties of the military capacity of each side, it is very difficult to say how long Sudan government will hold on to these areas. But even if they don't lose them again, they will be attacked and civilians will suffer a great deal. And destruction, ever more destruction will be meted on these areas because the RSF is not going to relent and will not allow Sudan government to sustain and maintain those military victories of recent times.
You mentioned the humanitarian crisis there. It is the biggest humanitarian catastrophe that we're currently witnessing in modern history. How is the shifting territorial control that you mentioned having an impact on the humanitarian situation on the ground?
That's exactly the major consequence of these shifting victories, because civilians become legitimate military targets from the point of view of the competing armies, because people, human beings, are seen as asset to make the case for one's control of the area. So displacement is going to be massive continuously. The more military confrontations, the more displacement of people, not just displacement, but humanitarian crisis, as you mentioned. Currently, the worst in the world in terms of numbers, but also in terms of difficulties of aiding them and delivering supplies to them. Logistically, it is a major problem. Financially, there is no funding, adequate funding for the UN agencies and NGOs that are traditionally able to respond to these crises. It is even more acute for children. Currently, it's the largest number of children displaced in the whole world. And they flee to countries that are also burdened by their own crises like Chad and South Sudan and Egypt. These countries are not able to shoulder the burden brought by these refugees. But internally, about 10 million people are now having to be displaced multiple times because of these shifting military activities. They may be displaced today, they run to a camp, and then the camp is brought under attack, or people there are in fear, so they flee to other camps once again, and this endangers lives.
It has
indeed,
is also
the issue.
Right, it has indeed been a conflict that has been neglected, particularly by the international community, for far too long. Professor Jok, unfortunately, that's all the time I have left, but thank you so much for joining us here on TRT World. I appreciate your analysis.
Thank you so much. Good day.